Hello, 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 and welcome everyone on Facebook. How are we going today? I am Matt Steer, and we're going to go through today. We're going to have a look at your values, and they say a lot about you. And we want to be diving deep into this subject because it's about the qualities of the authentic man and what it takes for you in order for you to become that authentic person. All right, and I want you to begin to see that the power of understanding your values, understanding where you currently see your values and how they create your future. I want you to really experience that on this webinar today. Now, I realize that for you guys that are watching live and been coming out, it's a bit of an odd time that we are presenting this webinar, but it's been done at this time because it's before the weekend. It's an opportunity so that this weekend, I want you to dive deeper into it here in this private Facebook group. And if you've been fortunate enough to see it in the upload when it goes up onto the website, I want you to follow the information below. I want you to really dive deep into it and work through what we're doing here, because I'm doing this live and I'm doing this currently with my Facebook group. I'm doing it with you guys so that you guys begin to understand your values and what is it that the forces that have been driving and guiding your life. And it's really important that we understand that. So who am I? I am Matt Steer, and I'm a passionate life coach and nurse of over 20 plus years. And I understood the power of values some time ago. And that's why I want to communicate and share with you today the power of these values as something that is the cornerstone that's helping to guide your decisions, how to overcome, how to drop feeling so much overwhelm, how to reduce those feelings of where we frustration when we're not able to make a decision because we just become we don't have a decision making tool. All right, so it's really important that we understand our values. And so when you're wanting to live an authentic life, most people are not clear on their values, and we're going to dive into that a little bit deeper on this webinar today. We hang on to the positive and harmful values, unfortunately. So if you're wanting to have an authentic life, which is what you're in this group all about, you're wanting to, we often don't know what our values are. We're not very clear on them. And often we're holding on to things that it's a habit, it's an old practice, it's something that we've learnt over time that we're still holding on to, even though they're harmful to us, holding us back from where we want to go with our life. And so as we begin to look at those courageous people that do bold actions, they don't take, I won't swear on here, but they don't take crap from anyone, and they're the people that just seem to be consistent with what they're doing. They're consistent with their actions. They're consistent with how they behave, and that's because they've got a strong value system for which is guiding them to move forward. And if you're looking at high performers, you're looking at results people, they have a strong network. Think about the friends that you might have that you know what you can and can't do with them. They're very clear cut. There's no black and white with some things. There is obviously some gray area with certain areas of their life, but often they're very clear on how they allow people to treat them, how they treat themselves, the conversations that they allow to have inside of their mind. And it's important that we begin to understand this and become aware of the conversations that are going on inside of our mind. And we take control of it. And that's why, I'm just going to change the screen here. That's why we want to be beginning to take full awareness of our values so that we can begin to stop these actions and we're feeling comfortable with making those decisions. Okay. Now, so by the end of this presentation, we're going to identify your top 10 values. We're going to prioritize your values, and it's important because we want to begin to live that authentic life. People want to live an authentic life, but do not know what they stand for, what is important to them. As a life coach, I often hear, I kind of know. And I kind of know doesn't actually mean we know. And when you start to dive into, when you begin to dive into people's values when I'm working with them, because often they come wanting to talk to me about they're in a state of indecision. They're feeling overwhelmed about what they need to do. They don't know where to take their life. Yet the fundamentals of understanding what their value is, they haven't reached that point where they know them yet. And this was in a research paper, which I thought was very interesting. If you don't stand for something, you'll fall for everything. This was from this Gordon Eddy, and it was done in a 1945 paper. Now, the reason I went and dived this far back was because there's a similar quotes that I hear floating around the internet, and from what I could investigate, this is where it originally stood, where the original quote was. Certainly that's been documented. That's where the original quote had come from, and that was the overall. It came from a paper in the overall mental health needs of the industrial plant, with special reference to war veterans. And I thought that was very interesting as we begin to dive into values. And if you think about any veterans, the ethos and the system that they go to battle or go to war in, they need to have strong values, a strong chain of command, in order for that infantry to work. Okay, so if you're wanting to create a life, create a system that's going to be replicatable and be able to keep moving forward, and people know where you stand, you need to have a strong set of values to move forward. Now, this presentation is for you if you want to learn your values. If you're not interested in having a stand on where you stand on matters, where you have an ethos system that points in the direction for your true north, then this program's not going to be for you. You want to start living an authentic, grounded life. To begin to live an authentic, grounded life, we need to start with values. And we're going to dive into that very shortly, what that authentic man looks like and why the values impact it's basically the top 12 values, top 12 elements that make the authentic, grounded man. The values fit into every component of the elements that make it. And that's why if we start here working on our values, we will begin to create that authentic man. This is, think of it like the 80-20 rule. If you want to start living an authentic life, let's find that 20% that's going to have the 80% impact on what we're going to work on in our life. Because creating the authentic man takes a lot of work, but let's find that greatest leverage point first that's going to affect everything. Now, this is also for you if you want to have a more fulfilling life. We're going to jump into my story very, very shortly, but I had no idea what my values were. I thought I always knew. I kind of had all these other things that I'd taken on from people that I thought were my values, and until I became crystal clear on mine, all of a sudden, when I did become crystal clear on mine, my life completely changed in the direction that I wanted it to go. And it continues to drive me and point me when there's so many distractions. You got to think, how many distractions are there? If you've ever been to like a mental health course and all that sort of stuff for your workplace, there are so many distractions that we have going on in our workplace, online, people trying to get our attention. We need to have a strong set of values that just says, no, we're able to cut them out, because this is actually what's true and right for me. When we start to do that, we start to have a life on our terms. So who is this presentation for? If you're looking for a magic pill, I'm sorry. In this webinar today, we are going to work through this tool. I've got it. It's free online. You guys can jump onto it here in this session, access it, and it's going to help you to work through what your values are today and your priorities for those values. Now, when I'm working with my coaching clients, this is one of the elements of the course that we do. We go into it a lot deeper. It's actually set over 2 coaching sessions with some homework. That's how deep it is that we go when we want to understand our values, when I want them to really connect with them, and then how they set themselves up to win at life with them. Today, we're going to focus on uncovering them, because 99% of people that I speak to kind of know their values, but they're not clear. They're not authentically aligned with them. That's guiding their life. So if you're looking for a magic pill, I'm sorry, this is going to take work on your side. If you're not ready to make a shift, all is good. I'm okay with that. If you're looking for someone who's going to do this for you, again, your values are incredibly personal. They're personal to you. Now, certainly, if you want to go and role model someone else, you need to understand that potentially some of the things that they've been able to do is aligned with certain values for which have helped them to get that end result. All right? You need to go and role model them. But unfortunately, you also need to go and do that work and align them with yourself so that you can create the outcomes that you're specifically looking for. This isn't something that someone can do for you. I can write out a list for you and tell you these are the ones if you want a particular result. But you're not going to get any impact on them because you've also got to start integrating them into your life. The other thing is, if they're not aligned with you, if you're not congruent with them, you're going to have a disharmony. Quite often we might have where we begin to feel like there's two parts to us. We become separated. Dark shadows is another way that people can reference to them. Basically, it means that we're not aligned and we start to split and separate in terms of what we should be doing and what we're not doing at this moment. The purpose of this webinar is so that we begin to unlock and unravel what it is that the values that we have right now so that we can move forward. You may be happy with 9 out of the 10 that we're going to work through today. If that's the case, great. You only need to change one. But if you're getting someone to want to do this with you, they may give you 7 that are not at all aligned with you. So if that's you, this webinar's not for you. All right. To get the most out of this training, turn your phone, turn Messenger off. If you're watching this on the website later on, turn all those other distractions off. Stay focused. You've got the worksheet underneath you. I want you to be present, lots of energy. If you can tell, I've got lots of energy when I'm coming in here to present to you because I understand the value and the gift that you're getting today from this webinar training. If you're watching it on in the private Facebook group, if you're watching it online, this is such a gift that is being given to you today. Please don't waste it. Be present. Feed off the energy that I am giving to you through the screen, through the camera that you're looking to me on. Be present, be here with it. Take loads and loads of notes. You've got a worksheet to work through underneath. Make sure you use that. Be 100% involved. Turn off those distractions. Any questions? I'm not going to look at questions on the live stream. And if you've got any that you have after this webinar, make sure you write them during the webinar down and send them through to me at the end. And we'll touch on that a little bit later. Now, for those of you who don't know me, I'm Matt Steer. I'm a life coach and a registered nurse for over 20 years working in the critical care environment. And I wanted to start to unlock and understand why I was able to perform and do the things that I've been able to do in my life. And that's what led me to life coaching, with also a life event that happened nearly 12 years ago for me. And that decision was, and this is what the big change for me was where I had gone through a divorce from my first marriage. I was incredibly successful with what I was achieving out of my life, but my relationships, who I was incredibly unhappy. I was miserable. And I made a decision one day, and that was that I wasn't going to continue to work on the marriage, and that I was never going to be the same person again. And since that day, I have continued to make changes to my life. It's not something that just happened overnight. The decision happened in a split second. That decision is the thing that changed my life. It's my actions that I took afterwards. And when I was going through my changes, after I'd made my decision to make the shift, one of the things that I started to learn when I had decided I would never be that same person again, I had to become clear on my values. And that's why I'm presenting this to you today, bringing this information to you, because I needed to become crystal clear on what it is that I stood for to help me to move forward. Once I became clear on that, it was almost like things began to unfold for me. The life that I now have, thankfully, and I've met a beautiful wife. We share a beautiful, very active toddler together. That has all become because I became crystal clear on my life, and in particular my values, which is like that compass system that helps me to get me to where I'm going. And when I'm struggling, when I'm feeling overwhelmed, when there's so much going on, it's the guidance system that helps me to prioritize that the situation that I've got in front of me, the problems that I've got, the challenges I'm facing. That's what I learned from this experience. Now, what you'll learn with me today is the importance of the values, the impact on your life that these values have now, and what they have given you, because we will do that in the exercise. And we're also going to look at what your current values are. So that's what this webinar is about. We're going to unravel what your current values are. Now, you can change them. The other thing that we can do, and I do this with my coaching clients, is we understand how we can meet those values, because when we begin to meet those values and we meet them in a rewarding way, we begin to feel a fulfilling and rewarding life, because you know what, these are the things that I stand for. And sometimes you may get to a point where, hey, this value actually doesn't quite resonate with me. That's okay. We can change that and become more aligned with something else that is going to work, that's going to get you in the direction that you want to go. Now, quickly, so you've come to this website, or you're in this Authentic Grounded Man group, and I have touched on these points. You might have seen them if you're on the website. You probably haven't seen this. It will be on the coaching page, in the Facebook group. It's in the description at this stage. I will probably make some changes at some point, but these are the key elements that make up the Authentic Grounded Man. So these are the qualities that we're looking for. And as you'll begin to see, as you read through this list on the screen that's here in front of you, you're going to see that these qualities are heavily driven from your values. All right? Because you need to become aware of your values in order for your qualities to be seen to the world. Now, this is the Authentic Grounded Man is very comfortable with being vulnerable, as well as being assertive. So you have to be really comfortable with being in a vulnerable state, as well as being assertive. You know where you stand. You're very clear. You're moving forward. You're very grounded in who you are. You don't look for trouble. You've got nothing to prove. And that's because, again, you know who you are. You know what you stand for. You pick your battles wisely. You will stand up for yourself if necessary. All right? You got nothing to prove. But if there is that time when you need to pick a battle, you know how to do that effectively. All right? And you will do that in order to protect yourself if you have to. But you don't need nothing to prove. You don't overreact. You don't get angry. You don't get overwhelmed, because you've got a system that's going to help you to guide you to move forward. You speak your mind, living a life according to your values. And you don't need to be right. You don't need to prove yourself that you're right. You're just comfortable with who you are, and that's where you stand. You speak your mind. Now, you can do it politely, of course. You can do it with respect as a value. But you speak your mind. You can speak with honesty. You will not compromise your values. You're sensitive to others' needs. You may not be aligned with them, but you're aware of them. You're not just doing it because you're immature. You're very aware of how your actions are going to impact someone else's. You listen, understand the give and take. And this is incredibly important if you have an intimate relationship. You're coming from the masculine side. The woman wants you to know your direction, know what you stand for, know where you're going. That's when they begin to feel more comfortable. On the woman's side, if they see those qualities in a man, they're more likely to sit back into their feminine essence, their feminine energy. And when they sit in that state, that's when they're feeling more comfortable. If you're not providing that certainty, that direction, then they will feel that they will need to step into that state. When they step into that state, it's when they step out of their feminine. That's when we can begin to have clashes, begin to have challenges that are going on. Digressed a little bit, but it's understanding that difference in the energy and how you stand, but you've also got to be able to give and take in all of the relationships. All right? It's not just, I'm going in this direction, I'm just going here. No, you listen to understand. You give and take in there. You say what you mean what you say. I heard this many, many years ago, and it's just stuck with me ever since. I've heard it 12 years ago, I think it was, and someone had said it to me. This is while I was going through my transformation. I just went, yeah, that really resonates with being authentic. You say what you mean what you say. No pussyfooting around, no gossiping. You're just straight to the point. Now, the other thing about the Authentic Grounded Man is you're not the alpha male. Sorry, that shit doesn't work for me around here. This isn't about alpha, who's bigger, who's got the biggest car, whatever. That's not what this is about. The grounded man is comfortable with who they are. They don't have anything to prove. They're comfortable. They don't need to go around beating their chest and go, look at me. No, that's not what we're on about. That is not a grounded person. All right. So let's dive into understanding the importance of our values. And I want to convey to you that often these are the silent drivers for life. All right. A lot of us are not crystal clear and understand what our values are currently, let alone wanting to change them and how we can meet them in our life in a productive way, not in an unproductive or negative way. These are the drivers that help us to prioritize what you do, how you use your time, your actions, whether or not you might want to take a shortcut on something, your ideals, how you spend your time. Often our values tend to lead us towards what's the word I'm looking for? Our values tend to lead us to the things that we really enjoy, where we get pleasure. And if we don't have a strong value system of wanting to complete things, to follow a project through, if that's consistent with the particular outcome we're looking for, our time will remain in these pleasurable things, and we will not do the unpleasant tasks that we know will move the needle forward, that will move us closest to that outcome, to that goal that we're specifically looking for. If we don't have a strong value system that's going to get us to get that completed, it then shows up as pain. We don't reach our goal. We might not pass the exams or assignments that not do very well. So how we spend our time is very governed on our values. Whereas if you've got a value that wants to complete the task, see the job through, get an outcome, then you will do those unpleasant tasks. Okay? Our values often indicate towards our life goals. And this became very important to me when I was going through my transformation 12 odd years ago and making my decision around things, because I also had a shift in what I was doing and how I saw my life, because what I realized was what I was valuing and what I was gravitating towards was giving me some pleasure, was giving me some enjoyment. I actually had to put up with 90% crap, would probably be a good word, and that was actually very unpleasant for me, and I needed to start to make a shift, make a change, because yes, I valued one aspect of what I was doing. I also experienced 95% discomfort. I didn't like it. I was not enjoying it, and I had to make a shift on how else I could meet that value in a more constructive and pleasurable way, so that I could feel rewarded and actually meet my life goals of what I wanted to achieve from my life. So the values help us with our actions and decisions. It's how we act. So I said to you about how you want to speak your mind. You can speak your mind in a very rude, arrogant, or aggressive way. Or if you value honesty, respect, and integrity with how you're talking to them, you're going to approach someone very differently. You will approach the person very differently in how you handle the situation. So it affects how we act. And the big one, this is a big one, and I've had some coaching with some people this week on this one. It's also about how we allow people to treat us, our values. Now, you may have been around some people that just have a very clear line about some things that they allow or they don't allow. There are certain conversations, they don't go to certain conversations with certain people because it might bring up things for them. What we will expect from others, some people are very time focused and they very value the importance on their time. And so if you don't show up a couple of times or you're late, they're gone, they'll leave, they won't show up next time. They won't spend any quality time with you. And so you need to become very aware for those people that for them, they value time, they value that connection. And if they say, yeah, I've got 30 minutes for you, their focus is with you for 30 minutes, but then they need to move on to the next thing because that's how they value things. So how they treat us is very much governed on their values. Same for you, what you expect from other people and what you allow, what you tolerate, what you receive from others is very much based on your value system. So if you want to start improving your relationships with other people, you want to become aware of your values and what you will accept from other people. I missed adding a section there. I will have to have a look at that later. I apologize. Now, all right. So, having a clear sense of your values provides insights into who you are and the person you want to become. So, I'm going to say that again. Having a clear sense of your values provides insight into who you are and the person you want to become. So, let's start diving into that now. Let's start diving into your world and start having a look at your value system. All right. Now, what I want you to do, if you're already on the website and you're checking it out, you're already on this page, you'll see down below the values tool that I've created for the website. That will be down below you. For those of you who haven't yet, I want you to log on to the main website, onto mattsteer.com.au, and I want you to go down to this section down over here, and it says yes I do, take me there. When you've logged onto that page, it will take you over to this page over here, which is the main header for the values tool. So you'll scroll down to the values tool, and you'll see down after the little writing, the little blurb there, you will see a worksheet for you to work through. Now, as part of this tool here that you'll see here below this header on the screen here that I'm just showing you, down below here, you'll see that the, let me just change that screen for you. You'll see down here, there's a series of questions. These questions are there for you, and we're going to work through them right now. You can either stop the video if you want, otherwise work through with me, and we'll start to work through and find what your values are currently, and then what your priorities of those values. Okay, now right at the bottom there, if you're online and you're looking through it right now, you'll see where you can actually have the ability to download those things, and that's my gift to you guys, where you can be able to download this tool for you, so you actually have this information with you. Now, let's jump back over to here, and we're going to do so. Right now, it is time that we're going to begin to take some action. And what I'm going to do with you guys here is, what I want you guys to begin to think about when you're working through this first question is, so the first question is, what were the moments in your life where you were the happiest? I want you to begin to think about this. I want you to begin to think about those moments in your life where you were the happiest. What were you doing? Who is there with you? What were you thinking about? So I want you to just dive into those moments, because it's often in these moments that we'll begin to see that you were living aligned with your values and how you see your life blueprint. So what were the moments in your life where you were the happiest? Was it spending time with your family, maybe? Maybe it was a goal that you were able to achieve that you just didn't think you were able to reach. Maybe the birth of your first child. What about where you were able to provide a gift for someone that you, even though you knew it was going to hurt you, you were able to provide a gift for someone else because it meant more for them? In that giving nature, and you were able to contribute to someone else's life. What about where you were playing sports, maybe cricket or something, and you were able to, with your team, where your team was behind, and you were able to help get them focused, get them re-energized, and you were able to get everyone so that they won, so you were able to win it. I want you to write these moments down in this section below. You'll see here on the sheet. It says enter your answer. You're able to write and fill up that space there. Write out some moments. Now I'm just going to keep moving because this is a recording. You can pause it here and go back and listen to it if you need some more time before we jump on to the next question. But I'm going to keep moving through so that we can get through to the end, and just press play when you're ready. All right, so question number 2 is, list some of the emotions that you consistently experience and find motivating. So these are the things that get you going. Is it joy because you're able to contribute to someone's life? Was it how you felt gratitude for that small help that someone was able to do for you? Maybe picking something up when you didn't realize you dropped it. What about where a colleague or something was able to cover for you when you just weren't feeling well and you might have had a gut ache, and yet they really went out of their way to help you? And now you want to help them. I want you to list some of the emotions that you consistently experience and find motivating. That's the critical thing here. I want you to find the ones that you find motivating, not the negative ones, not where we feel like rubbish, where they're pulling us down. We want to find the stuff that's motivating. Keep digging deeper. I know you've got the answers there with you. Is it happiness? Keep digging. That's it. All right, I'm going to keep going on to the questions, moving through the section, but please press pause. I want you to really dig out and find out what emotions you consistently experience and find motivating. All right, you can pause the tape now. All right. Let's move on to question 3. What were the moments in your life where you were the happiest? So this is question 3. What were the moments in your life that you were the happiest? What were you doing? Who was there with you? What were the moments in your life where you were the happiest? I want you to start writing these things down. What were the moments in your life that you were the happiest? What were you doing? Who was there with you? To dig deeper. Should I really dig deeper onto this? That's it. All right, so now we've got a bit of view. All right, that's it. Now, I'm going to keep going through the questions. Please push pause if you haven't finished, but please keep digging deeper. What are the moments in your life where you were the happiest? All right, and I'm going to keep moving. So now that we've been able to work out these moments, we need to begin to see what the values were in these moments for you. Because these are the moments that for you, you felt the most alive, that you felt most aligned with this blueprint or this ideal life that you have created in your mind for yourself. So now we begin to look back from that ideal place and start saying, well, these are the values that I have enjoyed. So I want you to dig through this list here, and I want you to have a quick look through. My list has disappeared. I'm sure you'll be able to see it on the main screen. I will just pull my list back up again. You'll be able to see here that there we go. Okay, so I can see it all now. Thank you, screen. So these are a list of about 50 core values, and if you're following the work tool there online, you'll be able to see in the tool there's quite a few that you can just tick or not tick, untick if you decided to change it. But these are the most common core values and things that were going on in your life that you found to be the most beneficial for you at those moments, whether that's the happiness, the time, let me just lock some of the screen. These are the things these are the values that you were experiencing at this time. So were you showing authenticity in one of your events? Maybe it was the achievement of the goals that you were able to do, and you really value achievement and being able to bring the team together as you were able to reach that end goal in that cricket game, as you were able to get to that outcome when you're really behind the eight ball, when you were really digging behind and you had to pull the team together, you were able to get that out, the achievement that you wanted to have. Maybe it was the boldness you demonstrated in that uncertain situation. Maybe the compassion you were able to show, not just to yourself. Maybe that happiest moment, like certainly when I sat on that step and decided that I would never be that same person again. It was a couple of years later where it was the compassion I showed for myself in that, and that moment also really rings true. That moment is that time for me when it was like, holy crap, like that's something I value a lot. And so it's not just compassion to someone else, it's compassion for yourself so you can be vulnerable and assertive. So if we're looking from an authentic man perspective, compassion allows us to have vulnerability. Compassion, in case we get it wrong, and we're learning, we're growing, we're going to move forward. Maybe you're going to value curiosity. I know when I was nursing, one of the biggest skills I had from ED was curiosity, because we had to be curious about what the person was there. Often the story that's told when someone presents to the emergency department actually misses a lot of data, because people are trying to tell you what they think you want to know, not actually what will be the thing that helps you to move forward. So curiosity was a big value that I'd had at that time. Still do now as a coach. Curiosity is a big thing. 90% of coaching is curiosity. Maybe more. Some people might argue with me on that. Determination could be a value that you're able to show. What about peace? You value peace. Maybe that happiest moment was you're able to go to a Zen retreat and you're able to find peace at that time, when you're able to just shut down your monkey mind, shut down that ongoing conversation that you had going on. You're able to find peace, and you value that peace and quiet. Maybe meaningful work. Maybe, I know I've got a couple of friends that have been big directors in very, very large corporations, and currently they're on a very interesting journey of they don't want that corporate big life, and this was before COVID. They've made that shift from being around the corporate life of lots of turnover, lots of all that kind of stuff, and for them now they're wanting more meaningful work, the work that's actually going to give them joy, and they've gone into psychology or counseling work where they can work with people around drugs and alcohol, which they've seen quite a lot in their profession. They've now gone into that counseling work where they can work with rehab and so forth. So for them, their shift has gone from corporate to more meaningful work. Maybe that's a value that you found to be your happiest, and at this point, your life that you're on, your trajectory that you're on, isn't aligned with finding that meaningful work. Maybe learning is something that you value. Learning can be in multiple different ways. Maybe how we learn, I call it the street smart kind of learning, which is how we deal with life, how we play the game that's currently with life that's around us. Or maybe it's the academic learning. We really value the academic learning that we can have. What about self-respect? Core values, self-respect, big one. That's the boundaries that we set with people. We have self-respect. We don't necessarily, we can allow people to treat us up to a certain point, and then that's it. We show self-respect. We stop people from going past that line. All right. So as you can see here through these core values list, there's actually quite a lot that we can quite a lot of values here. And what I want you to do is find 10, just 1 to 10. 10 values. Of course, you can find some more. We want to focus on 10 for the next activity. All right. You may have found ones in here that you started to go, oh, that's exactly the answer to what I'm looking for. What I'd also recommend that is if you've got a couple that might be very similar to each other, you may want to, if they're very similar, just look for the main term that for you is the main driving force behind that. Okay, so I want you to just choose 10 because for 10, you are able to move on to the next activity. So here is the bonus activity for you guys, and that is we're going to be able to prioritize them for you. And how do you think we can go around prioritizing them? What I want you to do is go beside each of the value. If you're on the tool up, if you're using the tool that's on the website, you're able to scroll up and see all of the values there. And what I want you to do is pull them down here into your answer section here on the website. And what you're going to do with these 10 is you're going to list why each. Write out 1 to 10. And what I want you to do is work out what number 1 is, what's number 2, what's number 3, all the way down to number 10. Okay? And in that now, if you're not sure which is which, think of a scenario which you might have been in, and then think about how you would have made a decision around that scenario. And what which value was more important for you to be able to move forward? Because sometimes we do have values that may be very similar, but we have one that's actually more important to us than another one. And that's what we're doing here is we're prioritizing from 1 being our most important to 10 to our least important one out of our 10. Okay? Beside each one of those, I want you to list out why you've given it that number. I want you to list out why you've placed this as your number 1. I also want you to then write out how do you feel towards that value. What is it that how do you feel? Like what sort of feelings does it give? Does it energize you? Does it make you feel better? Or is it just something like, I'm doing this because of something else? Am I doing this because it's for someone else? Maybe then it shouldn't be there. So how do you feel towards that value? And then in that list, I want you to write out how do you positively meet that value each day. Now, this is the bonus section because this is what I work with my clients. How do you positively meet that value each day? All right. So write that out down there in this section. And again, you probably need a bit more time than I'm giving you here today. Pause the video and you're able to come back and watch the rest of the webinar. All right, so we are coming up to the end of this webinar, and you'll see on the last section of the on the tool there is that you have the ability to have this sent to you, and that's my gift for you guys, is you're actually able to see this information and begin to become aligned with it. Because what do we need to do with this information? It's not just don't waste this opportunity today. You want to begin to start using it as your guidance system. Currently, it's the thing that's been running unconsciously. You've not been aware that your decisions, your actions have been operating from this system. And what we want to do is become more conscious of it. We want to become more grounded in this system of what we actually do value so that we can start taking more meaningful decisions in our life, more meaningful actions towards our goals. We're going to use our value system as one of our main navigation tools to be able to move forward. So think about when you're next faced with a decision, I want you to think about how you could use your values to help you to make a decision. And I was going to share with you, this became quite evident during COVID, as it did for a lot of people. And when COVID first broke out and we were all going into our lockdown, for me, one of my values is health and exercise. And to the point, it's actually now an addiction. And my wife is very aware. We had a very early conversation in our relationship very early on that if I don't actually train, after probably 3-4 days, I actually become quite irritable and quite grumpy. And in that decision, she understood, sorry, in that conversation that we had, we made the decision that it was going to be okay for her to talk to me about my training, or when I needed to go and do some, good quality exercise in order to basically burn off all those extra calories that I needed to go and do that exercise, the mind shift that I needed. When COVID hit, as it did with a lot of people, it shut a lot of things down. But using my value system and understanding this, and also a decision also at the time, because I wanted to be an active father. And as many of you know, I'm a stay-at-home dad, part-time stay-at-home dad. And so that I had to try and work out how we were going to navigate this situation, because the hospital was also trying to send me to the COVID clinics to go and work, and we didn't want to bring that home to a new baby. And so one of the decisions that we had made around here was that we were going to invest into exercise equipment at home, to have this equipment available to me at the gym that would allow me to also spend time with my son, especially when he was sleeping at the time. So we made that investment where we decided to get a home gym set up, convert one of our spaces into a home gym setup. That way I'm able to exercise. My wife is happy. She also doesn't have me grumpy. And I'm able to now use the time that I used to take to drive, I now spend with my son for our walks, which you guys would have seen on the videos when I'm doing the stay-at-home dad videos on my Facebook page. You'll see those videos because I value the time I have with my son, I use that time that I used to drive to the gym for those walks now. Okay? My value system helped us to be able to helped us to do that by being clear on my exercise on my exercise training, and that for me it's really important. It's a high value. My wife was able to say, "Yep, you need to make that change. You need to make. We need to purchase this. We need to allocate that space in the house, because we don't know how long this thing's going to go on." As a result, I've kept all of that equipment. That's a whole nother story. But that value system was something we implemented very quickly, and it helped us to make a shift without having too much negative effect on the family. And as the end result, I get to have more quality time, which is also my value is up there for family. That is being met as well, and we've been able to do it productively for both of us. All right. So that's how I've used values to help me make a guided decision through COVID time. And I didn't end up getting grumpy. I was able to use my frustration out while I was able to exercise while everyone else was locked down, unable to get to the gym. We got all our equipment pretty quick and space set up. Now, so I really want you to know your values. I also want you to write down a list on your phone or in your diary, your values, so you've always got them with you. So when you're faced with those situations that you don't know what to do, you've got your values list there in front of you, and that's going to help you to make those decisions to move forward. When you're clear whether or not family is more important than your career, and you're trying to face that decision, then that's going to help you to help you to move forward and guide your decision. Okay, so have that list with you all the time. Now, things I don't want you to do right now is waste this opportunity. All right? This is a fantastic opportunity to move forward. It literally changed my whole life when I did this exercise the first time, and I'm continually revisiting it, continually going back and seeing, is this getting me closer to where I ultimately want to go? Is it my big blueprint that I see of how I want my life to be, what my big stand is in life? Is my values getting me closer to that? And that's what I don't want you to waste this opportunity. Now, the next thing is, don't think that this is easy. To burst your bubble, made it very clear at the start, this isn't a done-for-you program. This shift isn't going to be easy. There are definitely tools and there are techniques that I use when I'm coaching to help help people to integrate with their values, but they still have to do work. You still need to have to do work. This will require regular reinforcement. You've been unconsciously operating on a set of values for which you didn't know you had or which you want to experience. And now you're aware of the ones that you want to experience. You need to become aware of them and begin to reinforce that as you move forward, okay? As you begin to take yourself to the next level. Now, for those of you guys who want to take this to the next level, reach out to me. I want you to reach out in this either through the group. If you're online, there's you can go to the Ask Matt page. You'll be able to reach out to me there, and we can be able to discuss how to take these values and all the Authentic Grounded Man framework, how you can begin to take them as part of your life so that you can begin to create the life change that you want to see. All right. I want you to reach out to me either through the Ask Matt page, or you can reach through Messenger, or down below underneath this post if you're reading it, watching it. All right. Because what we want to be doing is beginning to meet our values every day. We want to begin to find positive ways that we can feel our values, see our values, experience our values, so that we feel aligned with our life. If you've got any questions, any answers, etc., make sure you hit me up down below. Happy to jump in online. A couple of times a day, I usually jump in onto social, answer a few questions, chat to a few people. So if you've got any questions, drop them down below or shoot them to me live. All right, guys, I will catch you later. Ciao.